Lesson 44, Solving Right Triangles. Remember that to solve a triangle means to find all the letters that we don't know, or all the elements that we don't know. And so in this case, the easiest thing that we're going to do is to start by finding B. Now, we don't need to use trigonometry in this case because we know that 24 and B are complements. So if I subtract 90 minus 24, I will find the value of B. So B is 66 degrees. Now remember that happens because we already know that this angle is 90. So 24 plus B are complementary angles. So we can do 90 minus 24 and find our answer. After that, we're going to use SOHCAHTOA. Remember, we learned how to use SOHCAHTOA in lesson 43. Now in this case, we need to find H and Y. Remember, we're going to work from the angle of reference, which is 24, so I'm going to do it from that perspective. Since we have 9.5, which is the adjacent side of 24, we're going to be using cos and tan, because cos and tan use adjacent. So let's start with H. H is the hypotenuse. So we're going to use cosine to find the hypotenuse because we have the adjacent and we want the hypotenuse. So cos of 24 is adjacent, 9.5, over hypotenuse, which is H. To find H, we're going to change places with cos 24. So 9.5 divided by cos 24. And if we do that in the calculator, we get 10.399, which rounded is 10.40. That's the measurement of the hypotenuse. I use tan, so tan of 24 equals opposite, which is y, over adjacent, which is 9.5. Now notice that in this case, 9.5 is in the denominator, so we just pass it to multiply here by the tan 24. And if I do that in the calculator, I get 4.23 rounded. And that's it. That's the answer for that exercise. Now for this example, I suggest you pause the video and try to do it by yourself. It's very similar to the one that we just did. So let's do it together. First, notice how here they're giving us 14. 14 is the hypotenuse. So we're going to have to use both sine and cosine because that's what we know that uses hypotenuse. Now we're going to start by finding B, which is the complement of 35. 90 minus 35 is 55. And that would be our answer. We have to realize that M is the adjacent side of 35. So adjacent over hypotenuse is cos, so we're going to use cos of 35. Cos of 35 is M over 14. Now the 14 that is dividing goes to multiply. And if we put that in the calculator, we get 11.47. Now to find x, we're going to use sine, so sine of 35, which is x over 14. And again, that 14 is dividing, so we're going to pass it to multiply. And 14 times sine of 35 is 8.03. And that's it. That's our answer. Now in this third example, notice that they don't give us either of the angles. So we have to find A and B. In this third example, notice that we don't have A or B. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by finding the value of x using Pythagoras. For A, we're going to use x. For B, we're going to use 6. And for C, we're going to use 7. And then to find x, we just have to find the square root of 49, which is 7 squared, minus 6 squared, which is 36. And the answer is the square root of 13. Now to find A and B, we're going to use the inverse values of sine and cosine. We have to use the values that are given, 6 over 7. Now, if we're working with A, 6 is the adjacent, so 6 over 7 is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. And adjacent over hypotenuse is cos. So the inverse cos of 6 over 7 is what we're going to use to find A. And if we put that in the calculator, we get 31 degrees. Now to find B, we're going to use sine, the inverse sine of 6/7. And again, if we put that in the calculator, we get 59 degrees. Now remember that we can also just find the complement of 31. If we subtract 90 minus 31 is 59 degrees. And that's it. Very simple lesson. Go do some practice, and if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll see you in the next video.